I think we can all relate when I say that everybody has experienced some sort of trauma in their lives. Whether you were brought up in a bad neighborhood, had a bad family life, got bullied, fought an addiction, found yourself in an abusive relationship, whatever the case may be, everybody has their own story. And I was personally in denial about mine. Welcome back to Soul Synergy Life, you guys. My name is Amanda, and I help people to spiritually heal and grow. And while today's video sounds like it's going to be all about past trauma, what I really want to focus on is denial. Denial is a very tough subject to talk about because the person who is in denial is not going to realize they are in denial. It takes some sort of spiritual awakening or epiphany for that person to finally have their aha moment and the clarity in their life to realize that they were in denial. Why I wanted to make this video is because I have had a plethora of epiphanies in my life, especially over the last couple years. But the very first one I had when I had my spiritual awakening at 24 years old, I thought that was it. I thought, I reached the pinnacle there. I had clarity in my life. I was able to start healing, and I did start to heal. But there was a massive chunk of my life that I was still completely in denial about, and I was still suppressing. For those of you who have followed me a long time, you already know my story, but to get everybody up to speed here, for those of you who are new, the Cliff Notes version of my past is I was immensely bullied as a child. I ended up utilizing alcohol as a coping mechanism. I started cutting myself. I was bulimic, I was anorexic, and I always played the victim until I had my spiritual awakening at 24 years old. You have this aha moment, and usually something very terrible has to happen. And in my case, I woke up in a pool of my own vomit, unclothed, with an ex-boyfriend in bed next to me. I didn't remember anything that had happened, and it terrified me. I was not one to go back to ex-boyfriends. I wasn't one to sleep around, and here I was doing it and waking up with vomit all around my head because I puked in my sleep. Just was this scare tactic that was just like, okay, I'm really going to die if I keep doing this. And although I had suicidal thoughts often, I realized I didn't really want to die. So something had to start changing. And at this point, I changed my whole life around. I dropped all the friends that I was hanging out with. I quit drinking for an entire year. I started putting my frustrations into the gym, and now I have this immense love for fitness. It's changed my life. But I started to get healthy internally, externally, started feeling good about myself for the first time. And it was just a summer of growth, and I felt amazing. I ended up meeting my ex-husband at the time, and we ended up getting married, and I had a baby. And within that relationship, I had already felt like I had this spiritual awakening. I kind of almost felt in a sense like, okay, what else do I need to do? Because I already figured it out. I've already owned up to my past problems that I've made. So like, what else do I need to do? I don't need to do shit. People need to respect my story and where I've come from. In a sense, they need to treat me as such. They need to realize what I've been through, right? And so I felt like this victim that had overcome this trauma, right? And what I didn't realize until just last year, 2021, was that I was in complete denial that entire time. Now, the original spiritual awakening I had was real. I really was healing, but I had a massive chunk of my past that I pushed so deep down inside myself because I didn't want it to come to the surface. Why? Because of guilt, shame. I didn't want to bring it to the surface because I figured if I did, the people that I cared about in my life, aka my current fiance, Brandon, would end up hating me. And so I was in denial for the first whole year and a half of his and I's relationship. We've been together now a little over 2 years. And in that year and a half, we had so many fights break out. And some of the signs I'm going to share with you are these right here. So denial can be because of a bunch of things, okay? The main one, the one that I was in, is denial about my past. Then there's denial about your current reality, where you sit. This is a good example of like somebody who is very unhappy with how they feel and they look, but they blame it on everybody else. They're in denial about their current reality and why they're where they're at, because it's them. They're the reason they're there, but they like to blame everybody else, right? That's reality. Then there's denial about addiction. A lot of people have this one. I had this one with drinking. It comes off as, no, I just like to have a good time. I like to party. I like to let loose because I'm so stressed. You start to make reasons for why you're doing this habit that is absolutely poisonous to you. Addiction. So denial about addiction. Denial about your habits. Again, we could circulate back to eating healthy, people having very bad habits in their lifestyle, making them overweight, making them feel bad about themselves. They're in denial about the bad habits they are practicing. They always have a reason as to why they're practicing those habits. And then denial about choices. That kind of goes hand in hand with habits, but you get the picture. There's a whole slew of reasons that you can be in complete denial about something. And how it comes off is these over here. You will be defensive if somebody is bringing up something to do with one of these, your past, reality, any of these. Somebody brings that up to you, even if they're not attacking you, they're just bringing it up in conversation, or they're asking you a question about it, and your immediate response is being defensive, you are probably in denial about the topic. Same thing goes for anger. If you have rage come out of you because of something that somebody's talking to you about, or you even think about it yourself and it just makes you this pit of anger, you're probably in denial. Then we have projection, suppression, depression, anxiety, victim, and then putting on a facade. This is one that I did for so many years, and it's the reason I stayed in denial for as long as I did. Because while I was in my ex-marriage, I became a health and wellness coach, and I started to be this spotlight for people in their weight loss journey. To this day, I still am coaching, in a sense, weight loss, but I'm also really coaching spirituality and helping people grow mentally and internally. But I put on this facade back then thinking I'm going to help everybody else and get everybody else to reach the goals they have and forget about the stuff going on inside of me. So I put on this massive mask of happiness. And I remember a couple times I started to drink again. I started to utilize drinking a little bit, not to the extent I did back when I was younger, but before my daughter was born, there'd be nights, once or twice a month where I would find myself drinking a whole bottle of wine or going out and buying liquor and just being miserable and sad when I drank it. And that was that denial of that negative energy and that the past that I was pushing down so much. That was it coming out a little bit because it was getting too much to bear. And then the next day I'd wake up, I'd feel horrible about doing that. And then I would just go on about coaching people. And, I figured I have very low body fat. I've gained muscle. I eat healthy 99% of the time. And I'm helping people. So I don't need to do anything else. Several months before I conceived my daughter, I ended up going sober yet again because every time I had gone sober, I gained clarity in my life. And I was able to heal certain parts that I was struggling with. So I decided to go sober again. I ended up getting pregnant with my daughter. And once she was born, I realized I don't ever want to be that person again that utilizes alcohol to cope, to handle negative situations. I need to figure this out. And while doing that and while trying to figure things out and to heal, I realized that the relationship I was in was not the best for me. It was not the best for my daughter. And we ended up going our separate ways. Shortly after filing for divorce, Brandon and I started our relationship, and we ended up blending our families, and it's been over 2 years now. We're engaged, we're super excited, our family is super happy, but within the first year and a half of our relationship, I was still in that healing realm of not quite knowing what was wrong, what I needed to fix. Again, I was in denial. And so Brandon and I had a lot of issues in the first year and a half of our relationship because I was extremely defensive, angry, playing the victim due to my past. And Brandon is a very inquisitive man. He just wants to know everything about me. He told me everything about him, but what I had in my past, to me, was a lot worse than what he had. So every time he'd ask questions and he didn't understand something about my past, I would get very angry, very defensive, and it would cause this huge fight. And this happened for so many months. Like I said, a year and a half of this constant, these constant issues where I would just be so angry. And I'd always think, he has no right to ask me these things. When really, your partner has the right to know everything about you. They truly do. And if they love you, they're not going to judge you. But if you're in denial, you are going to feel judged no matter what. You are going to have your walls up, you're going to have your claws out, and you're not going to want to talk about it. And then when you do start to talk about it, you're going to come off by projecting it, blaming. You're going to, have anxiety. You're going to have all these things because you're not dealing with it. To me, denial is the slowest killer of happiness because we spend years of our lives, or I spent years of my life, but I think a lot of other people do too. They spend years playing that victim card, thinking I went through this, so you owe me this, or I went through this, so you need to cater to my feelings, when really nobody should be catering to you. Nobody should be feeling like they have to walk on eggshells or like they can't ask you something or that you can't have a conversation about something. Because if you were truly happy in your life and you were very comfortable in your own being, if you were very zen in yourself, then you would have no problem having a conversation, answering questions, talking about it. Because people who are truly healed, they have already let go the negative emotion attached to that past trauma. And that's something that I hadn't do. I had so many negative emotions attached to my past: shame, guilt, embarrassment, anger, that I was holding on to, that it was slowly ruining this amazing relationship that I found myself in. Here he was, everything that I had ever wanted, and I was slowly pushing him away due to my own denial. Now, this can happen in your life, not just your relationship. Maybe you're single, but if you are in denial about your life situation, you are going to feel stagnant. You're never going to feel happiness. You're going to feel like you're always struggling with something. There's always going to be those skeletons in your closet that come back to haunt you. You're never going to be fulfilled. And so my advice to you, and I'm hoping in this video for those of you who watch this, I can't force you to realize if you're in denial or not, but hopefully if any of these things kind of have given you an epiphany or maybe have sparked an aha moment within you, I hope that grows to truly help you to become more aware of what you might be in denial about so you can truly start healing. Because the only way that you can drop denial and all the negativity associated with denial is to heal, is to let go and to heal. If you ever want to reach out to me or you need to talk to me about something, feel free to write me by email. It's amandabozak1129@gmail.com. Otherwise, find me on any other platform source. I have Instagram, which is under Soul Synergy Life. I have a Facebook page, Soul Synergy Life. I also have a Facebook group, Soul Savages. So you can feel free to reach out anytime that you feel the need to be inspired or you have a question or you need help. I'm here for you. Until next time, stay zen, my friends.